So, you want to mod Samurai vs. Zombies 2. Well, great. That's why I'm here. Because as soon as you want to do really anything, you're going to run into a problem. You can't figure out what you're supposed to change. You can go through all the assets, you can find as many textures as you want and swap them out, but if you want to actually change anything gameplay-wise, you're probably not going to figure out where it leads to or how to change it. Well, the answer is data bundles. They are stored here in streaming assets for each language. Right now, the only thing I've implemented is English. Up here, you see data bundles. You can ignore this because all the dumped files are already in the repository, but if for some reason you want to dump them again, you can. But here is what you need. It will compile all the dumped files into the bundle that the game uses. Now, where are the dumped files? Well, here they are in the data bundles folder in the root folder. We have a folder for each language. We'll go into English, obviously. And then we have a lot of files. For now, let's just go to hero schema. This is going to be our example for the video. You'll see at the top, wrapped in square braces, heroes. This is called a table. It is a series of the next thing, keys. And each key is filled with values. Think of each key as an object that has all these values here. And a table is just a series of those objects. Now, if you look at the name hero schema, you'll notice it's also in the C# codebase. And this is where you can figure out all the bits of data and what they do. If it's public and it's a field, which means it has no getters and setters, it's not a function or a delegate, it's none of this. It is a public field inside of the schema class. In Samurai vs. Zombies 2, only 8 types are used. First of all, 5 primitives, 32-bit integers, 32-bit floating points, strings, booleans, and enums. They are all self-explanatory and formatted just as you guess. An integer is just the number. A floating point is just a decimal number. A boolean is just true or false, and a string is just anything. Now you may think, oh, well these are also strings, right? Nope, we're gonna get to the final 3 specialized types. First of all, objects. Anything that derives from Unity Engine.object. So texture 2D, audio clip, mesh, animation clip, anything of the sort. You can't actually have references to these objects in external files that aren't just part of a mono behavior or a scriptable object. Unity doesn't let you. Instead, it gives you a different solution, which is the resources folder, where you can load any object you wish at runtime with a path. And that's exactly what you give it. You just give it a path to the resources folder. This actually uses the original path from before the game was compiled, which is not retained on compile. So actually, you can remove everything before the actual resources path and the file extension, and it should still work, but just to be safe, I'd probably add it anyways, even though this path doesn't even exist. I think the game does something weird with regex. It shouldn't matter though. It will try to get the corresponding type though, so if it's a texture 2D, it better be a picture. If it's an audio clip, if you try to give it a shader, it's gonna break. This is common sense for Unity developers, but I know a lot of you guys are using Unity for the first time, or close to the first time. But we do have 2 more specialized things that are just for Glue's format. Data bundle record table and data bundle record key. Thankfully, these are also pretty self-explanatory. You can see here in hero balanced, we have melee weapon equals weapons.katana. It doesn't tell you what schema file this is from yet. I might change that to at least tell you what it's from. In this case, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's in weapon schema. You see here, katana, you have all the katana statistics. And this is a key inside the weapons table. Now we also see levels equals katana. Now this is actually a data bundle record table. So it would follow that this is from weapon level schema. So if we look up katana, there you go, you have all the levels with all the stats. And that's it. You do need to look for what schema the table is from. I might fix that later, but it should be pretty self-explanatory. So yeah, it just links to the reference of a table or the reference of a key in a table with a separator of dot. Now, word to the wise, you can add as many spaces as you want. You can add whatever kind of indentation you want. Any kind of white space, it will be skipped in the parsing, but you cannot add spaces after. It checks if the line ends with an ending square brace, and then it's a table. Same thing for a colon, and it's a key. and then otherwise it's just going to parse it as if it were a field. Now you can't have new lines, it will just skip those as well. But if you added a space here, you've broken the reference. You add it here, it's not gonna find the table. You add it here, it's gonna give a parsing error. If you add it to a string, it's gonna add a space to the string. You can add spaces before, you cannot add them after. It will break. And you cannot remove the spaces here or add any more spaces. It will also break because it's looking for this specifically, space equals space. I could have made this more intuitive, but it would have added a lot of overhead to the compiling and it would have taken too long. It's really pretty simple. You really just should not mess with the formatting in general, but you can add as many spaces as you want here. You really don't need to, but you can. So, you know basically everything there is to know now. So, let's just go here and make these not pay to win. We have the Sorceress and Daimyo here. Set the wave to unlocked 50 on both, which is when endless begins, and we'll say purchase to unlock equals false. We can also just remove it to turn it to false, because that's the default, but this makes it more clear what I've changed. And then if we go here and compile English, it will parse and hash all the types and write them to the bundle. And there you go. Unlock at wave 50. And now these heroes aren't paylocked anymore. Wonderful. Things in this video are subject to change and get better and more intuitive, but for now, it's good enough to do basically whatever you need. The compile time could be faster, but I mean, this really isn't that bad. It will be slower on your machine if you have a slower machine, but regardless, that's really all you need to know. So, happy modding everybody. I'll see you on the main channel. Goodbye.